Shifting focus now, you will not believe this story. I had a hard time wrapping my head around the brutality involved. This story is also not for the faint-hearted, so here's a warning for you. It's in fact a glimpse of the horrific mysteries that plague the human mind. Have you heard of death meditation? Yes, something like that actually exists. And as the name suggests, this is no ordinary form of meditation. In fact, it's a tradition. Its purpose is to remind practitioners that death might come as soon as the next morning, the next meal, or even your next breath. And so one should act accordingly. You must be wondering why I'm talking about all of this today. A priest in Thailand was found hiding 73 corpses. That's right, 73 dead bodies. Why? Reportedly to practice death meditation. This is not made up. An abbot at a Thai temple has shocked the world. He was caught concealing at least 73 corpses, which he claimed were used to train monks in meditation. And adding to the bizarre discovery, over 600 crocodiles were found in a pond on the temple grounds. How do you even keep multiple bodies in a temple? Would it not lead to foul smell? How was it kept under wraps? And for how long? All this came to light when the Thai police raided the temple on November 22nd. That's when they reportedly uncovered 41 bodies. Local reports indicating that the temple, nestled in a peaceful forest and covering approximately 16,000 square meters, was well known for its spiritual practices and had a large following. The land itself had reportedly been donated by devotees. In fact, the temple grounds include an open-air meditation center, 4 dining halls for visitors and monks, several bamboo pavilions for meditation. In these pavilions, the Thai police discovered 4 to 5 coffins in each pavilion. Additionally, the temple's courtyard contains a large crocodile pond with over 600 crocodiles. It was said to serve as a wishing well. The pond is surrounded by high fences, making it off limits to visitors who can only observe from a distance. Monks at the temple explained that the bodies found were those of individuals who had pledged their bodies to the temple before their deaths. In fact, they say that most of them were either disciples of the temple or their family members. And to support their claims, the monks reportedly presented death certificates and donation agreements to the police. And then a shocking twist came on November 26. Authorities discovered an additional 32 bodies at another temple in the Bang Mon Nak district. It was later revealed that both temples were associated with the abbot, Fra Ajahn Sai Phon Pandito. He is known for his teachings on clairvoyance and super hearing during his visits to various temples. Clairvoyance, in case you weren't aware, is defined as the power to see the future or to see things that others cannot see. So how exactly did the abbot defend himself? What has he said? As per reports, he defended himself against accusations of illegal activities. He claimed that the corpses were used as a form of death awareness training in meditation, helping monks confront and overcome their fear of death, thus deepening their spiritual practice. He further described this method as his personal innovation and emphasized that it was intended to enhance the monks' mental resilience and discipline. He also noted that many monks had visited to learn this unique meditation technique. Which then brings us back to the police case. What's going on? The way things stand right now, the Thai police have seized the corpses. The temples have been ordered to seize all the related activities, and an investigation into the identities and origins of the bodies has been initiated. The National Office of Buddhism Thailand has also launched an inquiry into the matter. And as the investigation unfolds and more details emerge, the controversy surrounding the temple and its practices continues to spark intense debate in Thailand and around the world. You see, while the abbot defends his actions as spiritual innovation, There are questions about the ethics and the legality of using human remains in meditation rituals. Questions like, can spiritual practices like those at the temple even be justified? Or do they cross a line that should never be blurred? As of now, the outcome of the police investigation is awaited to find out more about what really happened.
Before I even arrive at the Oval Office, I will have the disastrous war between Russia and Ukraine settled.
Key advisors to Donald Trump are publicly and privately floating proposals to end the Ukraine war that would see large parts of the country to Russia for the foreseeable future. That's according to analysis of their statements and interviews with several people close to the U.S. president-elect. The proposals by three advisors share some elements, including taking NATO membership for Ukraine off the table. His advisors would try forcing Moscow and Kiev into negotiations with carrots and sticks, including halting military aid to Kiev unless it agrees to talk, but boosting assistance if the Kremlin refuses. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has indicated that he may be open to negotiations. But Trump may find Putin unwilling to engage, analysts and former U.S. officials said. Taken together, the advisors' statements suggest the potential contours of a Trump peace plan. They said it will likely depend on direct personal engagement between Trump, Putin, and Zelensky. There are three main proposals, a source said. One is proposed by retired Army Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg, Trump's incoming Russia-Ukraine envoy. Another is from Vice President-elect J.D. Vance, and the third advanced by Richard Grenell, Trump's former acting intelligence chief. According to Kellogg's proposal, Ukraine would be offered U.S. security guarantees, which could include boosting weapons supplies after an accord is struck. That plan could face blowback in Congress, where some of Trump's closest allies oppose additional military aid for Ukraine. Vance told a U.S. podcaster that a deal likely would include a demilitarized zone at the existing front lines that would be, quote, heavily fortified to prevent further Russian incursions. Analysts say elements of the proposal would likely face pushback from Zelensky and his European allies.
Sir, there is incredible unrest in Syria.
Yeah.
Do you think that Bashar al-Assad could fall?
Well, you know, it's amazing because he stayed for years under, you would think, much more adverse conditions, and all of a sudden just rebels are going in and taking over large pieces of territory. Yeah. I don't think it's looking very good for him. Who would have thought that was going to happen? Because for 10 years, I mean, the guy was fighting all odds, and all of a sudden, it's like people are just taking over his country. So I don't know. People have bet against him for a long time, and so far that hasn't worked, but this seems to be different.
Let me ask you, sir, as you think about your inauguration, I remember your first inaugural address, you talked about American carnage. Have you thought about your message for your second inaugural address?
I have.
Can you give us a preview?
We're going to have a message that will make you happy, unity. It's going to be a message of unity. And again, I think success brings unity. And I've experienced that. I've experienced it in my first term, as I said. We're going to be talking about unity, and we're going to be talking about success, making our country safe, keeping people that shouldn't be in our country out. We have to do that. I know it doesn't sound nice, but we have to do that. But basically, it's going to be about bringing our country together.
And no American carnage.
No American carnage. No. What do you mean by American?
That was one of the big quotes of your first inaugural address. It sounds like the tone, based on what I'm hearing, is going to be different from this inaugural address.
Well, we had a very successful 4 years, actually, and the first, we had a very, very successful, if you look at what we've done with the biggest tax cuts in history, we had safety and military that was incredible. We defeated ISIS, which nobody thought could be done in a short period. I did it in a matter of weeks, and people thought it was going to take 5 years to do. No, we did a lot of things. The rebuilding of our military was a big thing. Think of all the things that wouldn't have happened. Russia wouldn't have attacked Ukraine, our president. Israel wouldn't have had October 7th. We wouldn't have had inflation because inflation was caused largely by energy prices. You know, so many other things wouldn't have happened. You look at Afghanistan, that disaster. So we're going to bring our country back, and we're going to bring it, we're going to try and unify our country.
Sir, when you think about your time in office, you are making history for a range of reasons, including the fact you will be the oldest person to be sworn into office. do you commit to releasing your medical records?
Sure, I do it all the time. I think I've released 4 of them.
Not just a letter, though, your full medical report.
Yeah, I would, and I think anybody should, but I mean, according to all the reports, I don't want to, where's wood? Is there some wood where I can knock on wood? But my reports are very good, very strong.
So you plan to release
Sure,
them?
I have no problem with it.
What about your business dealings? So you obviously have your online company, DJT. Are you going to divest?
Well, I have one line. I mean, I don't know what's to divest. All I do is I put out messages. I needed it for messages because, as you know, I was taken off Twitter at the time it was called. And I was taken off all of the different. So I actually created my own company. It became Truth, and it was very successful.
Will you divest from that?
Well, I don't know how I can divest. What does that mean? I'm not allowed to open it and use it? I mean, all I do is I don't openly look at the company. I'm not even on the board of the company. I didn't want to be on the board. I have other people, and they run it. And they run it very well because Truth has become a very, very successful platform.
Are you planning to accept a salary as president?
I'm not going to accept a salary, no. And I'm giving up a lot of money, you know. Do you know, it amazed me, and maybe this isn't right, but other than George Washington, and they're not sure about that, every president has accepted their salary except me.
And you did accept the pension, correct?
I don't think so.
You didn't accept your pension?
I don't think I accepted anything. I didn't. I get a salary. The president gets about $450,000 a year, and I didn't take it.
I want to ask you again about...
But by the way, I got no credit for that. That's okay.
Well, I am asking you about it for that reason.
Yeah.
And I think it's notable you're not going to
know.
accept a salary.
Yeah, I don't accept. I'm not. Yeah. I didn't, and I'm not going to. And I don't believe I got any credit for that. But I just feel it's, for me, it's a nice thing to do. I think this, and I was surprised. Not one president has done that. I would have assumed Roosevelt would have not accepted salary, or Kennedy. You know, Kennedy family is rich. I would have assumed that some of them. I'm the only president that they say they think that George Washington, but those records aren't too good.
Sir, we talked about your family, and they were such a big part of your first administration.
And they did a great job. Think of it, the Abraham Accords they did.
Well, that's what I'm thinking of.
Oh, no,
will Jared still be an advisor? Will he be someone who you turn to, particularly as you deal with what's happening in the Middle East?
Jared's a very smart guy, did a great job. He did the Abraham, if he did nothing else, and that was a big thing, and you know, they should have built on it, but we'll build on it now. We had 4 very powerful countries with Israel, and when you think of what that, it really represented peace in the Middle East. That should have been filled out. It wasn't, but we'll get it filled out. But no, I'm not going to have the family involved because I don't think they were treated fairly. They did such a good job.
But will it feel very different?
A little bit,
to be
yeah.
in the White House and not have them there?
Sure, it will feel a little bit different. But I mean, think of what we did. We did the tax cuts, biggest tax cuts in history. We did and that's a big thing. And that also spurred the economy. But if you look at the Abraham Accords, if you look at peace in the Middle East, we would have had so many different things. And they had to really go through Russia hoax. Guys like Schiff, who's a real lowlife. As an example, Adam Schiff, he's a lowlife. And now he gets elected senator. It's so sad. But my kids got treated so unfairly, so I don't want them to go through that.
Last question, because I'm getting a wrap.
Yeah.
I understand that on day one, you're going to be signing a flurry of executive orders. Can you give me just what are the top ones people should know about?
A lot of it will have to do with economics. A lot's going to have to do with energy. A lot's going to do with having to do with the border. We're going to immediately strengthen up the border and do a real job. And some of the basics. So we're going to end the electric mandate immediately for the cars. It's ridiculous. We want people to buy electric cars. Yeah, we want people to buy electric cars. But you know what? They have to be able to, if they want gasoline powered, if they want hybrids, they got to have that. So we're going to be ending that. We're going to be ending a lot of the environmental things that were ridiculous, that hurt our country very badly and didn't do anything for the environment. So we'll be doing, you know, standard things.
والشاهد حبيب الله لا إله إلا الله والشاهد حبيب الله لا إله إلا الله والشاهد حبيب الله لا إله إلا الله والشاهد حبيب الله يا عسكر غزة طيح
Syria is witnessing a dramatic turning point amid reports stating that President Bashar al-Assad has fled the country after 13 years of civil war. Damascus, the capital, has fallen to rebel forces. On Sunday, rebels claimed full control over Damascus, signaling the toppling of the Assad regime. The fall of the capital marks the end of his family's half-century rule over Syria. After the takeover by the rebels, the Syrian Air Force made an abrupt U-turn after taking off from Damascus airport, disappearing off radar, possibly indicating the flight of the embattled leader himself. People in different Syrian cities have taken to the streets celebrating what they call a historic moment. Thousands waved flags of the Syrian Democratic Forces and chanted for freedom. The rebels have declared the ouster of Assad and promised to transition to a government that reflects the sacrifices of the Syrian people.
والله نحن طلعنا احتفلنا بالاحتفال الكبير وعرس للعالم كله، والعالم كانوا متوقعين له النهايه، نهايه سقوط الطاغيه، والعالم بلشوا يحتفلوا. نحن بنحتفل مع العالم وان شاء الله ترجع سوريا احسن من الاول وترجع الامور بخير وسلامه وتعم على سوريا كلها. نحن طلعنا جبت الاولاد من البيت وطلعنا احتفلنا مع العالم، وهذا لازم كان يصير من زمان.
Rebel forces claimed control over key military locations, including Meze Airport, as they push to complete the transfer of power. In a statement, the Syrian rebel coalition said, the struggle to oust the regime has now turned into a fight to rebuild a Syria for the people. The United Arab Emirates, which is the key player in the region, has expressed concern over the situation in Syria. UAE has put out that they are extremely worried about extremism and chaos in Syria right now.
This is a historic day in the history of the Middle East. The Assad regime, a central link in Iran's axis of evil, this regime has collapsed. This is a direct result of the blows we have inflicted on Iran and Hezbollah, the main supporters of the Assad regime. Together with the defense minister and with full backing from the cabinet, I directed the IDF yesterday to take control of the buffer zone and the dominant positions near it. We will not allow any hostile force to establish itself on our border.